In this video, I'm going to show you how to weave storytelling into your presentations so your audience stays engaged and remembers your message long after the presentation is over. Let's get started. First of all, begin with a story that grabs attention and communicates why the audience should be listening to you. Instead of diving straight into facts and figures, start with a short, engaging story. It could be a personal story or a case study or even an historical example that's related to your topic. The goal is to capture your audience's interest and attention from the very beginning. For example, when I speak at conferences about storytelling, I open with this. A few years ago, on a rainy, cold Sunday afternoon, I took my kids to go see the Lego Movie at the cinema. It was a really entertaining movie, but I didn't realise until we got back home what a great example it was of the true power of storytelling. When we got back to the house, the first thing my kids did was run up the stairs and play with their Lego. The next thing I know, they're in front of me asking me to buy more Lego so they can build the spaceship that Batman flew in the movie. It was the first time I understood the true power of storytelling, to place a belief into the mind of somebody that actually creates an action. In this case, the movie taught my kids that they can build anything out of Lego. They're only limited by their imagination and how much Lego they have. This is what Emmett, the hero or the protagonist of the movie, taught my kids for an hour and a half. Now, when I tell a story like that, my audience is hooked. They want to know more. So how can you do it? Well, start by thinking of a few stories that you could tell at the beginning of your next presentation. Jot them down. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start to get your ideas flowing and how it connects to your topic. Next up is to ensure that in any story you tell, you feature as the mentor and not the hero. As the presenter, your role is to be the mentor, the guide, the person who helps the hero complete the mission. In every great story and movie, there's a hero who faces a challenge and a mentor who helps them overcome it. Think of Obi-Wan Kenobi helping Luke Skywalker, or Professor Dumbledore and Harry Potter, or Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid, Gandalf and Frodo, Professor John Keating in The Dead Poets Society. You get the point. As the presenter, think of yourself as that mentor. Your audience is the hero of the story. They're the ones who are facing a problem, a challenge, and your job is to guide them towards a solution with knowledge and magic weapons. This shift in perspective builds trust because your audience sees that you're there to help them, not just to talk at them and talk about yourself. Case studies or customer stories are a great way to do this because it reminds the audience of the key points, but also inspires them to take action. This story should tie everything together, reinforce the lessons learned, and motivate your audience to act on whatever it is that you've been telling them. So how can you do this? Well, think about your role in an upcoming presentation. How can you reframe yourself as the mentor and your audience as the hero? How can you make it easy for them to see themselves in the shoes of the hero in your story? Write down a few ways that you can make this shift in your narrative. Finally, think about the difference between the stories that you want to tell versus the stories your audience needs to hear. There's often a gap between those two things, between the stories we're excited and eager to share and the stories that will actually resonate with our audience. It's always easy to focus on our perspective, but storytelling in presentations isn't about us, it's about the audience. Consider what stories are going to address their concerns, solve their problems, or inspire them to take action. For example, if you're presenting a new marketing strategy to the team, you might be tempted to tell the story of how you came up with it and how difficult it was. But what your audience really needs in that story is how it helps them hit their targets, how it helps them achieve success in the coming months. By shifting your focus to what they need to hear, you ensure that your stories are relevant and impactful and acted upon ultimately. So, to recap, before you do your next presentation, take a few minutes to outline the stories you can tell at key moments, especially at the beginning of your presentation. Remember, your role is the mentor and your audience should always be the hero. And finally, think about what stories your audience needs to hear versus the ones that you're excited to tell. Experiment with these techniques and watch how this helps you connect with your audience like never before. It's truly powerful stuff. Remember, storytelling is both a natural thing for us, but it's also a skill. And like any skill, the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you'll get. So start today and turn your presentations into stories that are worth listening to. One more thing as a bonus. Research different story structures and try using them. A structure will do wonders for how your story lands with its audience. For example, even just using the basic 3-act structure, i.e., set the context, introduce some conflict, and then conclude with a resolution. Okay, good luck and enjoy.